Well, hello, my name is Jim Morello. I'm a huge Beatles and Elvis Presley fan and basically classic rock in general. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. If you could do a thumbs up, that's always most appreciated. And feel free to leave comments. I always enjoy reading them and I do my best to try to respond in a timely manner. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you a very unique and most unusual rare Beatle find. Okay? I have never seen it before out there in the wild, and I wanted to see if you've ever come across it, if it's something that is in your record collection, and what you think about it. So this past Friday I went to my local record store. It's a mom and pop, and I picked up the latest Ringo vinyl there. And while I was there, I was looking around at other records, and I looked at, near the cash register, there's this wall of very unique, most unusual records. Some of them are strange, some of them are very pricey. They're on this particular wall near the register, I think, so people won't walk out with them. So the first thing I came across, I saw Elvis there, and I said, all right, well that's a nice Elvis one. It looks like his second record, Elvis, the rock record. It is a reissue from 2000, very cool. So then I keep glancing, and then I just stop. And I come across something that, really is curious to me, and I'm like, look at that. So I go up to the cashier, who is the owner of the store, and I asked him, I said, where did you ever get this from? This is just amazing. And he says, oh, I got that in a private collection, a Beatle fan. He says, I think it's a mock-up. I'm like, really? So a mock-up, by definition, is an imitation or replica of something. But he says, what's interesting about this one, he says it comes with the original record. All right, so what I'm talking about here is the Beatles, Yesterday and Today. This album was originally released here in the States, June of 1966. And this photograph is the trunk cover. It's the same trunk cover as the album that we're familiar with. I'll show you that. This was the one that later would be released. So it's the same one. It's just, the artwork has moved around a little bit. And it was photographed by Robert Whitaker, the same person who gave us the Butcher cover. So this is not the real one. This is a replica. And look at that. So what had happened was the Beatles, anytime there would be artwork or any releases, they would get the artwork approval from Brian Epstein, their manager. And now I know for a fact that there was other artwork presented. From my understanding, this was one of the items that was presented to Brian Epstein, and he rejected it. The Beatles decided to go with this. Specifically, John Lennon wanted this. This was a protest, a Butcher cover. Basically, the Beatles were always, just concerned about, in their opinion, how the Americans at Capitol would butcher their records. They would, put singles and things like, in this case, they took songs from Help, from Rubber Soul, and Revolver to come up with this, and also singles. So it was a Butcher cover. It was, hey, you guys are butchering our artwork again, so here we go. This is a statement. Also, John Lennon wanted to protest the Vietnam War, and this was his protest. This is what was said at the time. Well, there were 750,000 copies of this that went out by mistake. Apparently, the CEO of Capitol Records, he wanted just a few to go out and to be given to the distributors to see what they would think. And instead, though, they didn't get the memo at the plant, and they ended up making all of those. And this was early June, and then they pressed the records and they put them in there too. So back to this, I really like this a lot. This apparently, from my research, was an early version of this record, and this was what the Americans originally wanted. Now the Beatles had rejected it, or Brian Epstein, and they came up with other artwork, and then they came out with, the trunk cover that we know with the white background. But what do you think of this? Now, I want to talk to you also about this. So, like this is definitely just, a fake pressing, and you can see that, this is just printed right directly on the paper. Well, this is done just like they did back in the day. This is like a slick, okay? And they have stuck this on top of the paper. Now, this is also thicker stock, which I think is interesting, just a little thicker than, their normal records. Now, I also looked at a rubber sole, and I noticed a revolver as well, and I noticed that they have the same process here. So this is the way that it was done at that time. Now there's a number 5 here. I know that symbolizes, I believe, which plant that it was. I'm not sure though. And let me show you the vinyl. So this is the original vinyl as well. And it's in really good condition. So what's also interesting about this, which is a further mystery, is Mama Cass Elliot from the Mamas and the Papas. She was a big Beatle fan, and apparently she got an early pressing of either the slick artwork or a cover. That I don't know. I'm a little confused on what I read, but she got that, and then she also got the artwork for the slick for the Butcher cover at the time, and she got that from a friend, from Capitol Records. So she gave it to a friend of hers who had it in his possession, and he commented and wrote a letter in 1989 talking about the authenticity of this. Now, I'm quite certain that this is a mock-up, like the gentleman said. However, I think it's pretty interesting that the fact that what if this was actually the way that we would have seen this album instead of the white cover. I just find that really interesting. And I like it a lot. It's very warm colors. I like the yellow, I like the white, and I especially love the blue. And I like how this is moved over here. It just seems to give it new life. So what do you think? I'm curious about your comments. If you could, leave them, I would appreciate it. And thank you very much for watching my video. You take care, okay? All right, bye.